Okay, perfect. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Chetan Singh. I'm the secretary of Kaziranga House, and I welcome all of you to this second session of our OPP revision series, Java OPP revision session. And we have invited the previous Java TA, the Panshu Singh, to this session, and he has very graciously accepted our invitation, just like always. And yeah, so today the Panshu will be handling the session, and please be supportive, please be interactive. If he's asking you any questions, just respond to those questions, and I'm pretty sure you cannot find a better instructor than the Panchu for the session. So yeah, please be supportive, please be interactive, and the Panchu, you may take over now. Perfect.
Oh, just give me a second. Okay, let me connect
Okay.
my
No,
earbuds.
take your time. So in the meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions regarding the OPP, just type it in the chat. If you have any general questions or if you have any specific doubts, you can type it in the chat. In the meanwhile, while the Panchu just gets his system ready. Anyone? If you guys have doubts, please type it in the chat. Any tutor or help available during OPP? Good question, Ramya. No, unfortunately.
Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. From where to access PYQs, any tutor or help available during OPPE? You'll have to check your mock portal. If they're available in the mock, or just go and check once in Discord. Okay, I'm
Uh,
not very sure about that. Sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not available. It depends.
just a second, Devansh, just a second. Ramya, just to add to your question, any tutor or help available during OPP? I hope you do not take any help during the OPP. The academic malpractice clauses have been changed recently. They've been updated. So if anybody caught cheating during the OPP, 1 year will be wasted for that. That student will get a U grade in that particular term and will not be able to take any courses in subsequent two terms, which amounts to almost 1 year. So this has been updated very recently, and we are having a meet tonight, 9 p.m. To inform all the students about it before the OPP. So I just wanted to inform the students here as well that the academic malpractice rules have been updated and the punishments have become more stringent now. So yeah, Devanshu, you may take over now.
Okay, guys. So let's start first with the syllabus of OPP. So we've got first 6 weeks in OPP 1 if the syllabus has not changed yet. I hope, I guess Vasu, it's first 6 weeks. And for OPP 2, it's first 9 weeks. You may check that again and confirm. So I've shared a sheet here, not a sheet, a link here. You all can access this link. So what we'll be doing in the session is we'll be trying to solve some of the questions from all the weeks. So these questions are basically the questions which have been asked in the past. So they're segregated based on the weeks from which they were asked. So we'll basically try to solve these questions. Usually, I have seen that most of the questions that they ask in OPPs more or less revolve around these questions only or these topics only. So if you are good enough with such questions, then you'll be good to go because OPPs are usually very easy. Okay, shall we start now? I hope all of you can see these links. How many questions will be there? There will be four questions, and
Your voice is gone.
I'm sorry, I just lost my connection. So there would be a boilerplate, and you need to complete the code, complete the template. That's it. So yeah, let's start now. Hey, these general questions you can ask later as well. Okay, there will be people who will be waiting for questions. We'll take that in the last, or maybe you can just check Discourse for that. Let's solve problems. Be better. Okay, so login. Yeah. Hmm. So we'll start with week two. The very first problem that we have here, week two problem one, is based on constructors, getters, aggregation, etc. So I hope you all are aware of the concept of constructors. Okay, and just give me a second. Let me have one more thing here for your reference. Okay, I hope my screen is visible and I'm properly audible. Okay, let's start. So in week two, the very first question that we have will be based on constructors, setters, getters, aggregators, and something like that. So what are constructors? So suppose Java code usually looks like this. So if I have public class main, public static void main string args. So here, let's suppose I want to create an object of class person. So first I'll have to define class person. Let's suppose here is my class person. And once I define this class person, I can create objects of class person. So I can say person P is equal to new person P. This is how you create your objects in Java. Okay, I hope this is fine with you all. Any problems? Guys, you need to just unmute yourself so that I'll know that I have not lost my connection. Okay, it's
Hello,
just
No,
to
no,
check that.
okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
sometimes it happens that I lose my connection. Yeah.
excuse me.
So let's
Uh,
suppose my, yeah, go on.
are you explaining a question or like is this a concept? Like I was opening the week two problem one. I thought you're explaining. Are you explaining that question or a concept?
No, not that question. It's just a concept, just a revision
Okay,
of the
okay.
concept, and then we'll quickly switch to the question. So a class can have few attributes. So for example, here, this person can have few attributes like his age, like his name, etc. So let's define those attributes. So let's suppose this guy has some name. So name is going to be of data type string. So we're calling it string. And let's suppose it has some age as well. Age is of type integer. So now I want to set the name and age of this person. So one way is that I can do like p dot age is equal to 18 and then say p dot name is equal to something and I can set the name and age like that. But you know this way is not very sufficient. So can I do
Yeah.
something like that every time I create a person, I should be able to pass some values over here and those values should go and update the attributes for this particular person p that I have created. for example, I should be able to pass a name as, let's suppose, Dipanshu, and age is 18, 19 or whatever. And it should go and update these attributes over here. How can I do that? I can do that with the help of constructors. So constructors usually look like this. So you first write public, and just after that, you write the name of the class. It's public person. Now you'll have to specify that what type of objects or what type of values you are accepting here. Okay, your parameters of person, your parameters of this particular constructor. So the first parameter that we are accepting here is a string. So first one, let's call it, it's some string called n, and whereas the second one is some age of second one is age, but it's of type int. So second one is, let's say, int a. Okay, now this would mean that whenever you'll create a object of class person, it will be able to accept these two parameters. First will be of type string, second will be of type integer. Now, once you have accepted that, you can use it to initialize your name and age attribute. So I can do this dot name equal to n, and this dot age equal to a. By the way, it's not really important for you to have this dot here, but still it's always a good practice to use it. Okay, there will be some cases where if you'll not use this, it won't work. Okay, for example, if you use the name of the arguments here as name and age, and it matches with the name of your attributes here. So sometimes if you don't use this in that particular case, it don't work. Okay, so the job of this here is to specify that these are the attributes of the object that we are creating or we just created. Okay, this guy P. Okay. So now by doing that, let's run the code first just to see whether it's compiling properly or not. Yeah, there are no errors here. So let's suppose then if I have to print system dot out dot println, if I have to print this p dot name, I'll be able to do that. Okay, and similarly, if I have to print the age, I'll be able to do that. So this is the idea behind any constructor. Okay. Sometimes what happens is just for the security purposes or the purpose of encapsulation, okay, we'll not go into much details because that's really not important at this point of time. We can set the access of these attributes to private. So what happens when you set the access of any attribute to private, you cannot directly access them here. Okay, so we cannot directly access p dot name like this. Okay, why we need to do that? Because if you will not do that, any person will come and will say that p dot name is equal to something else, and because of that, they'll come and they'll change your data, and you don't want your data to be changed here in the code. Okay, so you protect it by doing this, by setting their access to private. But now how to access this? Because by doing that, I'm not able to print the name and the age attributes of this particular person. So for that, we define something called getter methods. Okay, a getter methods or accessor methods, you can call it whatever you want. Okay, so what these getter methods do, I'll define a dedicated method that will help me to fetch the value of this name and this age. So let's suppose I say public, and what this method will return. So this method should return me the name, and name is of type string. So the return type here is string. Let's have some name for the method. So this let's take name of the method as get name. So the job of this method will be to give us the name of the person. Okay, so what this will return the value of name. Okay, if you want to be more specific, you can write this dot name. Okay, both will work. So now here, I know that I cannot directly access the name by writing p dot name, but now I have defined a particular method using which I can access the name. Okay, So here I can do system.out.println and p dot get name. And since it's a method, I'll have to use this just to call the method and I can run it. Okay, and now I'm getting my output. So this was a basic idea of the constructor and the getter methods, etc. So let's move back to our question and let's see what we can do here.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I had a doubt regarding that this keyword. Can you in that explanation, please? That part where you said that in some cases we do not use this keyword when we are making the constructor. Can you please repeat that again? Like I did not get.
Okay, what I was saying is that even if you don't use this here, your program works.
Yes, and
Okay,
you
but
also said that in some cases, like if we use the this keyword, then it will not work. So like I want to know that part.
no. I didn't say that if you use if you use this keyword, it won't work. I said if you
Okay,
don't use this keyword, then in some cases it may not work.
okay, okay,
Okay,
okay.
so it's always a good practice to use this keyword.
So we should always use it. Like it's for
Yeah,
like even if it's not required, like just for safety that. Okay, sir.
yeah, makes your code more readable though.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, so in the definition of the constructor you just told us, in the private one,
Mm-hmm,
the one where you
mm-hmm.
altered it to private, we cannot access or change the values by the main function. Am I right, sir?
Uh, Come again. You cannot access or change the values by main
Yes,
function.
sir. Yes.
No,
So
it's not like
using
that.
the
It's like you have dedicated methods to get and set the values. Okay, that's a more standard way of writing the code.
oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go ahead and try to solve this problem. So we've got a constructor here. So what should we do in all cases? Okay, this should be a problem solving approach. Just go through the question, try to locate the elements which are present here in the questions in the boilerplate or the template code. Okay, and then we'll finally jump to solving the questions. So here it is given that write a Java program that creates three objects of students and prints the name of student with the highest total. So how your class student looks, it has string name, it has an array of doubles called marks, and the array length is 3. So here it is given. It's an array of double and its length is going to be 3. Okay. As an instance variable means uh, attributes of object. Okay. Constructor to initialize these variables. So there should be a constructor to initialize these variables. Let's try to write the constructor here first. So for that, we'll first have to see that whether they are creating any student object in the code or not. So go to main method, you see, are they creating any student object? Yeah, they are creating an array of student objects here like this. Okay, and here they created the student object where the first item that they passed is a name and the second item that they passed is an array. Okay, like this. Fine. So what can we do here? We can say public student. The first is some name and the second one is some array of marks, array of doubles. So it's an array of doubles. So let's make it this and we're going to call it M for now. Okay, so name will be assigned as N. This marks will be assigned as M for now. Okay, if there will be any changes required, we'll do that. Now it says there's an accessor method get name that returns the name of the student. Okay, so let's define this get name method. So public, it should return name of the student and name is of type string. So public string get name and e and we should return name. Okay. Then comes the final part of the question. Find total. So method find total returns the total marks of the student. So you see you've got an array here. This array is of length 3, and what you need to do is here, this array is going to contain the marks. So for example, your array here may look like this, that you've got 100.0, 34.24.5, 67.66.8, something like that. Okay, so what you need to return here is the total of these values. So how are we going to do that? Let's write a code for it. So public, we are going to return the total. Total is again going to be double, correct? So public
Yes, sir.
double, and what's the next thing? Find total.
Sir, the double will be capital or small?
No, double will be small. It's a primary data type. Okay,
Okay.
but whenever you use any method or whenever you create any method, it is always a good practice to go and check and see where the get total method is being used, if it is being used somewhere. So we can see that it's not being used anywhere, then we are good to go. We can just define it like this. Okay, in the next questions, in the upcoming questions, you'll get to know why the practice is helpful. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
public, the return type is double and the name of the method is find total. So here we need to return the sum, right? So first we should create some variable that can store our sum. So for here, let's create this variable double sum and initialize it to 0. How can we find total? We just need to iterate over our list and we just need to keep adding the elements to our sum. Okay, so we can just loop through the values of our array. Okay,
Sir,
let's
in
do that.
double sum, we have do we type double sum equal to 0 or 0.0 or like both are fine?
Both are fine. Okay, so even if you write 0, it gets accepted as 0.0 only. Okay, so let's write a for loop here just to iterate over our array. So for each element of this array is going to be a double, right? So for double mark in the marks list, we say sum is plus equal to mark. Does this make sense? I hope you are aware about
Yes.
Yes, sir.
this for loop, right? So it says pick each element from your marks array and each element is of type double. That is why we have written double over here. And in sum, you need to add that particular element. Okay. And once you are done with that, you can just return your sum. That's it.
Sir,
Okay. So this is how you can find the total.
sir, in this, when you are like in the get name, when you are saying return string name and in the public find public double find total, we are in the loop using the marks variable. Like, can we use the n and m instead of these, or like we should only use
No, 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 you can't.
okay,
So this
even when
n
it's
and
private,
m, the scope of this n and m is just limited to this constructor.
even
Okay.
when private, when we have private variables.
Even if you are here, the scope of NMM is limited to this constructor only. Okay.
Okay,
Their instance level variable means they can be accessed anywhere in this region, these name and marks. But this N and M cannot be accessed anywhere. Okay. They are limited to just the block in which they are being used. Okay. So
okay, sir.
similarly, like we defined S inside this block, sum inside this block. So sum can only
Fine.
be accessed inside this block, not outside
Yes.
this block. Okay. So if I try to use sum over here, return sum, so it will fail.
Yes.
Okay. The next part is to define a method called get mark, get
Sir, I
max.
have a doubt.
Yeah, go on.
Yes, sir.
So I have just learnt about that arrays.copy of function because it is little bit shaky to use the like this like directly give the values to array. So should I use that or this can also work in the test cases
Yeah,
when
that's
we
a really nice question. So, see, by creating a copy, when do you create a copy? When there is any modification in the list or when there is any chance of modification in the list. Okay. So if there is no chances of modification in the array, you need not to create a copy because here we are just taking the sum. Okay. And taking the sum does not modify your array. Correct.
okay, so
But if
means
there
we
are
are
any
just
questions
extracting
where,
given knowledge.
yeah, so if
Okay,
there
fine.
is any part where you're going to just change or modify the existing values of the array, in that case, you should create a copy and then handle it.
Okay, sir, got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So now, what's the next part? The next part is in the method called getMax. This method getMax accepts an array of student as a parameter and returns the name of the student with the highest total. So whenever we write a function, we should have few things in our mind: the parameters it is accepting and the return type. Okay, so get max, maybe let me write here, it is accepting an array of student. Okay, and it is returning a string because name of the student. And the third information for which I said we should look at whether the function is being used anywhere in the code or not. So we can see that this getMax is being used over here. So what this tells us, first of all, this gives us an idea of how many at how many arguments it is actually accepting. So here it is only accepting a single argument, that is ARR, and ARR here is nothing but an array of students. Okay. Second thing is that how the method is being called. If the method is being called using any object, then most of the cases it's a object specific method. Okay, but if the method is being called without having any object, without the need of any object, for example, here they are not doing anything like s dot get max array. Okay, they are directly calling the method. So such methods are your static methods. Okay, so here it gave us one more information that this method is going to be static. Okay, why it is static? Because we are able to call it without using any object. Okay, for now, this information should be sufficient. So let's start. So first we have public. What do we write next? Whether it's a static or non-static. So if it's non-static, we need not to write it. But if it's static, we use the static keyword. Then we write the return type. The return type here is string. Then we write the method name. The method name in this case is get max. Inside it, we write the arguments it accepts. Okay, and the parameters it accepts. So it accepts an array of student objects. For now, let's call it S array. Okay, that's it. So this is how you write your function definition. Okay,
Sir,
so if you're able to
why
correctly write your
why
uh,
sir
so
this
if you're
static
able to correctly write your function definition, most of your work will be done. Yeah, now please go on. Sorry for that.
no sir, this static part I did not understand. Like you said, we do not create objects for that. Like I did not understand. Like the array object is being created, but like
Uh,
you said that for static method we do not need
Wait.
objects.
For example, here you see. Mm, 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 mm. Should I show it here? But no worries. I'll have to write something static. Um, mm, 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 mm. Each int. Just give me a second, okay? I'll just write a code here just to demonstrate why we are doing it.
No problem, sir.
So, yeah. So what are we going to do here? We'll just say there is an int or total age initialize this to 0, and for p in p array we are going to add age of the person here. So can anybody explain what this function is doing here? Okay, till then I'll just do one thing. Please unmute and explain.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding the 24 line for. Can you explain that? Why? I mean, how you are
Sir,
using that?
sir, it is taking.
Sure. If anybody can explain, that would be great.
Sir, it is
Yes,
taking
I can explain.
Yeah, please go on.
Like, sir, if we have given with an array of person with ages, then we can just calculate total age by first initializing total age as 0. Then one by one we are taking persons, we are taking the persons from that array, and just calling the get age function. By that we are just getting the age of that particular person. Then we just add it to total age, so that we are getting the total age of all the persons of that array. And static just do this, like does this, as
Oh,
once something is initialized, it can't be initialized again and again.
okay. Let's look at the code here. What this particular method here is doing is it is accepting an array of person objects, and then we have created an variable called total age, initialized it to 0. And what this method is doing is it is iterating over the elements of this person array, and it is picking each element, and each element of this array is going to be an object of class person. That is why we have written this. You need to pick an element from this p array, and you mention the type of the element. Okay, so each
Yes.
element is going to be an object of class person, and you extract the age of that particular person and add that age to this total age. Okay, and finally you return the total age. So it accepts an array of persons and it returns you the total age of all the persons. Correct. So here particularly I have used static. Why static? Because static means I will not need any object to call this method. Okay. For example, if you look here, uh, this is one method I am using, p dot get age. What happens if I do not use p dot here? If I just write get age, do you think this will work? No, this won't work. Why? Because get age is not a static method. Get age is a method for object. So it gets its meaning only when it is used with objects.
understood, sir.
Mm, yeah, there should be a semicolon here. See, it's working. But what happens if I remove static from here? Now it will say that this method is non-static, so it can't be called. Okay, so non-static method calculate total age cannot be referenced from a static context. So what will I have to do in this case? In this case, I will have to create some object of class main, since this is a method inside our class main. So I'll have to create any object of class main, and then on that M object, I can call this method. Okay, so you know that this is not a pretty good looking way of doing it. Okay, so that is the purpose of using static methods. I hope this makes sense. So
Yes.
we come back to the tab, and here we can see that we have to compute the maximum. How can we compute the maximum? If you remember the algorithm, we just start with the very first element and then we keep iterating. Okay, if we get any value that is greater than the maximum value that we were previously uh, storing, so we'll update our stored maximum value, and that's it. So let's do that. So here we have something called int of, not int, double of max marks. Okay, let's initialize this to something. So let's initialize it to the marks, total marks of very first student. So very first student is going to be S array of 0, correct? So S array of 0 is going to be our very first student, and let's get its total marks. So for getting the total mark, we have this method find total. Okay, so what are we going to do next? So the next step is going to, oh, we do not have to return maximum marks. We have to return the name of the student having maximum marks. Okay, so max marks student policy. So let's first assume that the very first student itself has the maximum marks. So what will we do next? We will iterate over the entire array. So we will say for student S in S array, if the marks of the student are greater than max mark student, then we are going to update our max mark student. So if S dot find total is greater than uh, max mark student dot find total, in this case, we will update our max mark student to S. And that's it. Any questions? So once this
Sir,
for loop
this
ends, or once all the iterations are over, this max mark student will be storing the student having the maximum total marks. Yeah, please go on.
sir,
This
this
should be
max
of type student.
yes, that's what I got.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, we'll return name of this guy. So name of this max mark student. Return max mark student. Do we have any method to return name? Yeah. Dot get name. Okay. So let's try to run the code and see if there are any errors here. Yeah, at least the public test case is passed. And once you submit your code, it will tell you whether the private case is passed or not, which luckily in this case passed. Okay, yeah, that's it. So we'll be a little quick for the next question. Okay, so this second question talks about the copy constructor. Okay, let's do that. Again, very important topic, copy constructor. So it says that employee E1 does a set of projects. Employee E2 also does all the projects did by E1 except the first project in place of which E2 does another project. Write a program that defines two classes employee and text. Define copy constructor to create E2 from E1 in such a way that changing the values of instance variables of either E2 or E1 should not affect one another. The code takes name of E2 into new project done by E2 as input. Complete the program specified below. Okay, let's see the specifications of the program. So first we have a class employee having following members. There's a private variable string, private variable of type string name. Here we can see that. And then there is again another variable that is an array of strings and its name is projects. Okay, to store name and projects respectively. Now we have to define the required constructors. So we have to define two constructors here. One is going to be a normal constructor. Okay, like this one, like they're creating their E1. And the second is going to be the copy constructor. What's copy constructor? So copy constructor is basically if I pass any object of the same data type. Okay, so here you see I'm not passing strings or an array of strings here. Rather, I'm passing something even which is of the same data type employee. Right. So in such cases, what we are supposed to do. So I'll go back to my same example. Okay. So here in this example, if I have any person P1 having some name. So person, let's suppose its name is A and the age is 18. And then I say I need to define some person P2 having person having the same details as P1, but it should be a different object. So for that, I can write the copy constructor. Now what my copy constructor should do is it should get the details of this P1. Details of this P1 means the name of the P1 and the age of the P1. And it should use the details of this P1 to initialize the details of P2. Okay. So how we'll define that particular constructor? So it's a part of something called constructor overloading. And what overloading in general means is that you have methods having the same name, but different signature. Different signature means their parameter types or the sequences in which they are collecting the parameters are different. Okay, so based on what parameters are given, what type of parameters are given, your program chooses which method needs to be called. For example, here, if you pass a string and an integer, then this particular constructor will be called. But if you pass something as p, means if you pass something of the same data type, then in that particular case, this constructor will be called. Okay, you can write hundreds of constructors like this. For example, if you want a constructor where only the string is accepted, so you can create a constructor for that as well. So if you are only passing a string, then that particular constructor will be called. Okay, so for this example, we have said that any object of the same person type will be accepted here as a parameter. So what are we supposed to do? We need to update our name as p.name. Okay, so name of the object p2 should be equal to or should be assigned to name of the object that we have just accepted p.name. Okay, similarly, age of this guy p2. Okay, in such cases, using this keyword is really important. The age of this guy p2 should be assigned as equal to age of this guy p. Okay, so I hope that is fine. So now if you try to print the details of p2, so we're going to print system.out, print ln, and p2 dot name, let's say get name. So we should have same details here for P2 as well. Okay, P2 also has the name A in it. Okay, that's what we wanted. So let's come here and let's define our copy constructor. First the normal constructor, then the copy constructor. So normal constructor takes a string and it takes an array of strings. So here, let's do that. So here we have got public uh, employee. First is string, the name of the guy, and the second is an array of strings that stores the project. What we'll do in such case is that this dot name is equal to n and this dot projects is equal to p. Okay, this is the very first constructor. What can we do for the second constructor? This copy constructor. So let's try to write a copy constructor as well. Public employee, it's going to accept another object of type employee. Let's call it E for now. And here we'll say this dot name should be equal to E dot name, and this dot projects should be equal to E dot projects. But you see now here, there's a problem. What's the problem here? The problem basically is, for example, if you make any changes
This is a
in
shallow copy.
this project array of E1, this is going to make the same changes in the project array of E2. Why? Because here we have just created another reference to E dot projects. Okay, so I'll just come here and I'll draw something. So what usually happens is whenever you create any object, so the objects are stored in your heap memory. Okay, and the variable names are here in your stack. The variable names, let's suppose E1 and E2 are here in stack, and when you created the object for E1 and this object contained the name and the project array, the name and the project array. This is the structure for the object that we had, correct? So E1 mapped to this and E2 got mapped to this. Okay, but here, since P in itself is an object, okay, so whenever you have array of whenever you have arrays or user defined objects, so all those things gets stored in your heaps. So both your projects are also one another object somewhere lying in your heap memory. So this P is just a reference to that particular object. So when you said that E1 dot, this dot P is equal to E dot P, what it did is it just created another reference to the same object here. So now if you make any changes in this object using E1, the same changes will be reflected in E2 dot P as well. Okay, so how can we avoid that? So to avoid that, we'll have to create a copy of this guy. Okay, so our target will be to have something like this, where we created a copy of this project list. So now you make any changes here that won't affect here. Okay, this is going to be our aim. So the next question that comes is, how are we going to achieve that? Okay, so we'll be using a very trivial approach. And what's the trivial approach? The trivial approach will say, okay, we are going to create a new array of the same length, and we'll be taking the elements from our previous array and we'll store it in the new array. For example, I'll again draw something. Okay. For example, this was your previous array where your elements were 1, 2, 3. So I'm saying, okay, I'm going to create an empty array. And what I will do is I'll iterate over this array that, okay, your first element is 1, I'll have 1 here. Your second element is 2, I'll have 2 here. Your third element is 3, I'm going to have 3 here. That is what we are going to do. Okay, so we are going to iterate over this array and we are going to create an empty array, and the elements which appear in the ith index of this original array will have the same elements in the ith index of the array that we just created. That's the idea. So let's try to do that. So the first task is to create an array of create an empty array of length 3. Length 3 or what length? Okay, the same length as this guy. The same length as e dot projects. So let's do that. So here we have got it's a string array, right? So let's create this. It's a new string array, and in the box you can mention the length, whether you need 2 buckets, 3 buckets, 4 buckets, etc. So how many buckets do we need here? The same number of buckets as they are present in this e dot projects. So let's suppose e dot project has 5 buckets, or it is storing 5 elements. So this dot project should also store 5 elements. So how do we write that? We can say that it should have
P dot length.
e dot projects dot length. Okay, I hope it makes sense. So we're going to have the same number of buckets as e dot array is going to have string projects in e dot projects. Is this part clear? We say we are going to iterate over e dot projects where each element is going to be a project. Okay, means we are calling each element as a project which is of type string. Correct. You can call it anything you want. If you want to call it P, you can call it P as well. If you want to call it PR, you can call it PR as well. Okay. So here we are saying that this dot okay, we should not use this version of for loop here because we'll be working with the indexes of projects, right? So let's write the for loop where the indexes are being used. So for int I equal to 0, I less than e dot projects dot length and I plus plus. Okay, we are going to say that this dot projects I is equal to e dot projects I. Now tell me, is there any problem here? Is there any problem in this step? So we are saying that this index is ranging from 0 to just one length less than the length of the project length, e dot project length, and what it will do is this will say that
There is no problem, but when I wrote the same code in afternoon, and VS Code was suggesting me that this manual array copying is not recommended.
you can do that. In any case, it's going to work. Okay, so You can use array copy or you can use this as well, and this will serve the purpose for you, at least with context of OPP. Okay, so this is also fine. Okay, I just do not want to overload you with new methods. Okay, I just want that with the limited resources and with the fundamentals, at least you should be able to build your own logic of writing the code. Now, what's the next part? The next part says that you need to define some accessor methods and some mutator methods. So let's define the accessor methods first, get name and get project. So let's define our get name here. So public name, get name should return the name, right? So, oh, they have already defined it here. You see, this is your get name, this is your get project, this is your set name, and this is your set project. These two are your mutator methods or setters, as we call them. Why are they used? Let's suppose if you want to change the values of your instance variables, you can just use your setter methods. That would help you to change the values of your instance variables. Okay, a more professional way of doing it, or we can say more object oriented way of doing it. Yeah, so that's it. This completed our entire question because whatever was asked here in the test, they have already given us. Okay, so the main idea of this question was to learn about the copy constructors, this part. Okay, just practice this 1 or 2 times and you'll get the gist of it. Let's try to run the code. I hope we are not forgetting any part here. Yeah. So this did most of the work for us. Are there any questions?
Set project is using dictionary
No, it's not using dictionary. Where?
in line
At
number 37. Sorry, get
37.
project
Why do you
or
think it's
31.
using a dictionary? 31. Why do you think
Yes.
it's using a dictionary?
No, I'm
No,
not
it's
thinking.
not
I
a
can
dictionary.
actually
It's projects is an array, and a particular index of array needs to be set to project. So for example,
project.
you will pass 0 and just name some project. Okay, 0 in science. So what this will do is it will go to your project's array, 0th index of your project's array, and it will set its value to science. That's it. This is what it is
Okay.
doing.
Okay.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Sir, how to access these problems in HackerRank?
You've got this pinned
Okay, okay.
here, no?
Okay, I will check. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So now coming to week 3 problems, here we'll have to maybe work a little on writing more methods or maybe overriding or overloading something. Let's see that. Or maybe working with inheritance. Let's see that. So we've got a class faculty. It has the name and salary. Names of type string, salaries of type double. Let's see that. Yeah, we have it here. Then we got a constructor to initialize the instance variable. Yes, we got that as well. Then there is a method called bonus, and it returns the bonus computed as percent divided by 100 times salary. Do we have any bonus method here? Yeah. So this bonus method returns a double that performs a calculation like this, percentage of salary basically. Now we need to define two methods, get details to display name and salary of a faculty. So let's see how this get details is working. So here it is, right? Object one is of type faculty. Okay, and here you have your get details method. And when the get details method is called, we are printing its result. So seems like it's going to return a string. And how the string will be formatted? It will be formatted like this, I guess. This is the first line of your output, correct? Yeah, this is the first line of your output. So it should be formatted like this. So you see the approach is to check the question, check where the method is being used. If it is producing the output or if it is contributing in the output, then you see that how it is formatted in the output, and then only you start writing your code. So here, let's write the method get details. So public, the return type is going to be string, right? Because whatever it is returning, we are going to print it. Public string get details. It does not accept any argument. Okay, here you can see it's not accepting anything. Okay, because obj1 is a faculty object and we are writing the code for faculty objects. Now what should it return? It should return this string. So here we'll learn about concatenation, which is really simple. The first part is going to be name of the person, you see, and the second part is going to be the salary, and then there is a comma and space between. So let's do that. So first we need to return this dot name plus, and there is a comma and a space and then plus this dot salary. Okay, if you want, you can just write name and salary also, that will also work. So we are done with this get details method. The next is we need to overload the method get details at get details float percentage to display the name, salary, bonus on a faculty object. So just now we studied about overloading in context of constructors. Overloading means the name of the method is same, but the arguments that the function is accepting or the parameters that the function is accepting are different. Okay, and based on the arguments that you pass, it checks that which method needs to be called, and that method gets called. Okay, so here everything is going to be exact same like we did here. Public string get details. Okay, but this time we'll be accepting an argument or a parameter here called percent. Okay, and that would be of type float. Any questions? And you can see it from here as well that obj1 is calling this get details method where something is passed. Okay, and it produces the second line of your output that looks like this. Okay, so we should have the name, comma space, salary, comma space, and then this guy. So if you look carefully, see, I can do this anytime. That return first, there would be name of the person, then comma space, then there would be salary of the person, and then there will be again comma space. Plus, there will be this bonus equal to, wait, let's write it here only. Bonus equal to, and then finally you write the bonus component. How would you calculate the bonus component? So we had a method for calculating the bonus. So we can just call that method and pass percent. PERCENT means whatever we accepted here, we are passing that to this bonus method. Okay, and that bonus method will do the computation for us. So this is one way of writing the code, which is also pretty neat and clean. The second way as well, that is, see, once you have written a code, once you have written this part, if you do not want to repeat this part, you can directly write something like this, that return get details. What this get details will return you, this will return you this part. So means you need not to type this part. Correct. And after that, you just can go and add this. So again, a second way of doing that. So it's really up to you that how you want to use it. Okay, I'll keep it like that only for now. Nice. Then comes another class, that is HOD, that extends the class faculty. Here is how you extend. Okay, class HOD extends faculty. Now extend means it is going to what? It is going to inherit all these things from here. Okay, not the private ones, but all the public ones. What happens next? So it has a string called personal assistant as private instance variable. I've defined it here. Okay, and constructor to initialize the instance variables of HOD that includes the instance variables of faculty. Okay, what are we supposed to do here? We have to define the constructor for HOD. Let's do that. Public HOD. So what should it have? Okay, so here we can see that when the HOD object is created, it is taking three things. This guy, this guy, this guy. Okay, this looks like a string, this looks like a double, and this again looks like a string. You can check the input again. The second line of the input takes a string, then some number, and then some string again. Okay, so that means this HOD guy is going to accept a string. For now, let's call it name. The second one, let's call it salary because it's acting as a salary only. And the third one, let's call it personal assistant, PA. So it's again going to be a string, PA. Any questions so far? So the HOD has this name, salary, and then one additional thing. This name and salary was there in faculty as well, but it has one additional thing, PA. Okay, any questions so far? Hello.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so your most natural instinct here would be that I can write this dot name equal to name, this dot salary equal to salary, and this dot PA equal to, sorry, this dot personal assistant. Be cautious of the names that are defined here. Assistant equal to PA.
So just a silly question. Can we
Uh-huh.
uh, write like this? This dot PA equal to personal assistant?
No, 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 no. You can't do that. See, you are initializing personal assistant as PA. PA is what you have accepted as an argument. Personal assistant is the instance variable. So you are using this value to set the value of your personal assistant or set the value of your instance variable. Okay, so you can't change that. Okay, so on left hand side comes the names of your instance variables. On right hand side comes what you have accepted as an argument. But uh, here
Sir?
the two lines that I have written, line 35 and 36, just give me a minute, please. These two lines are
Yes, sir.
wrong. Yeah. Why these two lines are wrong? Because this is what I wanted to tell you, that since the name and salary are private instance variables cannot be accessed by the child classes. Okay, so this name and salary cannot be accessed by this guy, HOD here. So I can't really do this because if I try to do this, it will say that your HOD does not recognize this name and salary. So what should I do in such cases? In such cases, I use the constructor of the parent class to set up the values of name and salary. Okay, these two things are private, but this constructor itself is public, right? So I can use this constructor and I can pass the values of name and salary to this constructor. And later this constructor can go and update the values of this name and salary. Okay, so how to call the constructor of your parent class? For that, we have a keyword called super. So you can do super. So if you just do like this, it will call the constructor of your parent class. Okay, but again here you need to pass some values. So what will be your values here? The first one is your name, the second one is your salary. Now your constructor will handle it, constructor of your parent class. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Then comes the next part, that is override method bonus. Override means I need to update the working of this method here, so that if the override, the bonus method is called from the HOD object, it has some other variant of other functioning. Okay, some different functioning. So let's see what we need to do here. So this part is done. Okay, the second part. Third says that you should override method public double bonus float percent that returns the bonus of HOD as 50% less bonus than a regular faculty. So the bonus of HOD is going to be 50% less than the bonus of a regular faculty. So let's first write the statement for this method. Okay, method signature. So public return type here is double, I guess, and the method name is bonus, and it accepts float percent. Okay, so when you override, your signature must match with the signature of the method that you are trying to override. You see this public double bonus float percent, public double bonus float percent. Yeah, these two things are matching. That's fine. In place of percent, if you want to write p per something else, that is fine. Okay, but the idea should remain the same, that the first thing that it is accepting here, or the parameter that it is accepting here, is a type float. That's it. So what will you do now? The difference here should be in the calculation, that it should be 50% less. How will you make something 50% less? Just multiply it by 0.5. Correct, it will become 50% less. So in the original calculations, I have to take 50% of this calculation, means this needs to be multiplied with 0.5. Okay, so either I can just write this entire thing and then can multiply this with 0.5, or the second way is I just need to take the result from here, and multiply that result by 0.5. Okay, so the question is how I'm going to take this result from here. Where is it? So I can call this method, correct? And to call a method from your parent class, you use this keyword called super again. So super dot. Super dot means you're calling a method from your parent class now. And what's the method? The method is named bonus, where you are passing percent. That's it. Easy. So yeah, you've got the
One
next
doubt.
task. Yeah.
So can you call static methods with super also of parent class?
Can you call static methods of parent class as well?
Super dot that method name.
Uh, well, you can experiment with that. Okay, it's been a long time, so I'm not very sure, so I'll not comment on that.
Okay.
Okay, just create any static method and check. Uh, yeah, override method get details. Where is it? Okay, the instructions are given here. So you should override method get details to display name, salary, and personal assistant of HOD. So again, this method needs to be overridden, this method here. So public string, same signature, get details and return. So see, this time for this guy, I said, okay, you can either copy this person divided by 100 times salary. Okay, this also should not have worked, because salary also is just, the scope of salary is also just limited to this class, because it's a private instance variable. So we'll have to anyways call the parent method. So here also for get details, we'll have to call the parent method for this part. Okay, name comma salary, this name comma salary. this part we are going to call the method from the parent class super dot get details. But after that, there's a comma and a space and then plus. Hey, what happened? I don't know, something weird happened. Hmm. Comma space and then there's the name of the personal assistant. I can just come here. I just need to write this personal assistant. Personal assistant. And we are done. Okay. And let's try to override this method as well. So public is going to return a string again. Get details. Same signature as
Sir,
this.
can we use this dot personal assistant instead of personal
Yeah, you can
assistant?
use that. Float percent. Again, you see here. Okay. So these three lines are what? These three lines are same as this. Correct. So I can just write return get details. This time no super because I'm using get details of the same class. Yeah, not the parent class. Correct. Because here if you see the fourth line of the output, the first three parts are just as same as the third line. And this is what this is giving me the third line. So I got a name, salary, and personal assistant name. Only part left is bonus. So I just need to write comma and then bonus. So comma and plus bonus. How would I get the bonus? For that, I can just call this method directly bonus. Again, I'm calling the method of the same class. Okay, that's why no super. I'm not calling the method of the parent class. Percent. That's it. So maybe now we can try to run the code. If there are any issues, they will get flagged. No issues. Let's submit the code.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So instead of returning the value from get details functions, can I just print there only? Like, is it wrong or right or wrong?
Printing would be wrong in this case. Why? Because printing is being done here. Okay. Whatever your function returns, that
Okay, okay,
return
got it,
value
sir.
gets print.
Got it, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
It is called. Yes, sir. No, yes, sir.
So that's why I told you to go through the main function first and see how the function is being called. So if there would be a function like obj1.display and that's it, and the display itself is printing, then your return type will be void, and here you'll not be returning anything, rather you'll be printing. Okay, so just have all those things in your mind whenever you are solving a question. Okay, let's take another problem. So here we have got an abstract class. So few details about the abstract class, that in abstract class, you cannot instantiate abstract class first, like you cannot create objects of abstract class. Second, your abstract class can have abstract methods. What are abstract methods? For example, there will be some cases when you would not want to actually define the implementation of a method. For example, if I have any abstract class shape, let me come here, take a pen. Let's suppose there's an abstract class shape. So I can say, okay, this shape guy has two abstract methods. One is, let's say, perimeter. The second one is, let's say, area. So what this would do is this would enforce that in all the child classes of shape which are non-abstract, you must define the implementation for this parameter and shape. Okay, so this is there to give a structure to your entire code. Okay, that here, since shape is just an abstract concept, for any shape, I cannot define any formula for area or perimeter. So I can just say without giving the implementation, yeah, that there are going to be two methods. One is parameter, second is area. And all the child classes of shapes must have these two methods in them, must have an implementation of these two methods in them. So that's the idea of having abstract class. Okay, and more or less the same idea is there for interfaces as well. Okay, so we'll not get into those details for now. Let's try to see the questions, and if we are not able to do the question and if we feel that more details are required, we'll cover them. So here we've got an abstract class UPI payment that has two abstract methods, abstract void payment and abstract void rewards. So let's do that. So so we'll have to define UPI payment. So let's define that. Let's payment. Okay, so this UPI payment guy has two methods, abstract void payment and abstract void rewards. So it has two methods, abstract void payment. So you see here, whenever I used to define methods earlier, I had to define the implementations of the methods as well. Like I'll have to do something like this, and write some implementations here, correct? But if the method is abstract, then it means that you need not to define the implementation at this point. The child classes will define the implementations. Okay. And abstract void, what was the second one? Second one was rewards, I guess. Yeah. So this part is done. We've created an abstract class. This abstract class has two abstract methods, payment and rewards. Why the class is called abstract? Because the abstract methods can only only the abstract classes can have these abstract methods. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So if I won't write this abstract keyword here, this won't work. It will ask you to add the abstract keyword here. Then what's the next task? The next task is that in the class PhonePe that extends UPI payment. Now it's a class that is inheriting from an abstract class. That means the abstract methods that we define here, payment and rewards, they must be overridden and their proper implementation must be provided. Okay, so it has a private instance variable of type integer called amount. Yes, it's there. Then it has a constructor to initialize this amount. It's also there. And it says that you should override the public void payment such that the overridden method displays the message phone pay payment success. Okay, let's do that. So we need to override this payment method. So let's do public, and the return type is going to be void only. And we've got name of the method payment. Okay, this time we'll not use the abstract keyword. Public void payment, and you can guess, since the return type is void, it's going to print something, and we can also check from here. Okay, like this guy is just calling the payment. Okay, and something is being printed here. Okay, so this payment method should print something, and what is it printing? System.out.println, and it's printing this, that Paytm payment success. Paytm payment success. Okay, be very mindful of the white spaces and the spaces. That if there's single space, use single space only. If there are no spaces, don't use any spaces. So it says that you should override method public payment that such that the overridden method, where were we? Oh, sorry. This is what we had to do. Phone pay. We were here. This was done. This was done. Third step was to do for phone pay, not Paytm. Let me check the spelling once. It's yeah. Are we good to go? Any questions so far? No,
Can
I'm
we
not teaching anything. We're just doing problems on week 4. Yeah, come again, please.
sir, can we use their return?
No, the return type is void. That means you are not returning anything. Okay, you just need to print. Phone pay payment
Okay.
success. Uh, After that, it should invoke method rewards. Invoke means you should call. Okay, so once don't forget semicolons. You need to call this method rewards. Okay, we are done. Then the next task is to define the method rewards. Okay, define the implementation of the method rewards. So here, public void. Again, return type must not change. It was void here, so it will remain void. Rewards. Let's see what it is doing. If the amount is less than 500, it displays the message, sorry, no rewards. Okay, so let's do that. If amount is less than 500, it it prints again. It will not return. It will print system.out.println. Sorry, no rewards. Just again be mindful of the cases, be mindful of the spellings. Sorry, no rewards. Okay, are good. And if that is not the case, that means if amount is greater than or equal to 500, in such cases, you should print system.out.println. What is it?
Sir, can we use else if also here?
10 of, yeah, you can do that. 10 of on next mobile. RC. 10 of on next mobile recharge. Yeah, I hope the spellings are correct. Okay. Now, similarly, this Paytm also extends this UPI abstract class. So here also we'll have to override the method payment, etc. So I hope we can copy that. In your exam portal, you won't be able to copy, but still here we'll do that. The only difference is here we should have Paytm. Paytm. It should call rewards, and what reward will do? Here reward says if it is less than 500, then no rewards. If it is sorry, and if it is greater than or equal to 500, the message will change and it will say 10 off on next DTH recharge. So maybe we can copy this part as well. On next DTH recharge. Later UPI user is created. It has this method that invokes payment using OBJ. Rest of the part they have done on their own. Let's see whether the code is working or not. Okay, most probably there's something wrong with the spellings. You need to just check that. Paytm payment success. This S should be capital in both cases. Okay, so just be very mindful of. Okay, our output is capital. They should have a small. Yeah. Okay, so let's do another problem now. Nil pass. Okay. Okay, this problem is on interface. Okay, so what are interfaces? Like in abstract classes, you can have abstract methods as well as your normal methods, your non-abstract methods, but interfaces are usually strictly abstract. They used to be strictly abstract. That is, if you do not write anything, okay, means even if you do not write the abstract keyword before the methods, they will still be considered as a public abstract methods. So that is one thing. Second, later this default methods were introduced in the interfaces that let's suppose there's someone who would not want the abstract method. In such cases, you can use default method and they will be non-abstract. Yeah, that's it. Why they define interfaces? Because usually multiple inheritance is not allowed in case of classes. So you cannot inherit from multiple classes at once, but you can inherit from multiple interfaces at once. And that is one of the use cases of using interfaces here. Okay, so let's not get much into theory. Okay, I'll just show you how it is done. So we need to define this interface called appraisable. Okay, so how do you define interface? It's simple. You just write interface and then you write the name of the interface that is appraisable and you are done. Inside the interface, there is an abstract method called public abstract void check and update salary. And then there is this default method void appraisal teacher T. So let's first write this. Let's first finish the easy part. Public abstract void check and update salary. So it's public abstract void. What is it? Check and update salary. Check and update salary. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Hmm. Okay. So one thing I must tell you here. So what I told about interfaces that even if you do not use public abstract explicitly here, this would still mean that the method written over here is public and abstract. This happens in interfaces. Okay, that if you do not write anything, they'll be considered public and abstract. So in most of the cases, you'll just find it written like this. Even if you write public abstract, that's fine. It's up to you. Okay, but in most of the cases, you'll find it written like this. Void check and update salary, the return type and the name of the method. That's it. What's the first part? The first part is asking you about a default method. So since it's an abstract method, we need not to provide implementation, but still we would need some methods where the implementation needs to be provided, like our regular methods. So in interfaces, if you want to define such regular methods, so we'll have to use this default keyword for that. Okay, so once you use this default keyword, after that you can define your methods, your regular method. So default, the return type is void. The name of the method is appraisal. It accepts an argument teacher T. Return type void. Appraisal teacher T. So since it's a default method, we'll have to provide the implementation in this case. Okay, let's just check where it is being used. and the spelling is correct or not. Yeah, spelling should be correct. Okay. APPRAISL. What it should do? It should increment the salary of an employee by 2 pass per divided by 100 into 5,000. So it should update the salary of employee such that the updated salary becomes old salary plus this component. It's 2 pass per divided by 100 into 5,000. So let's try to do that. So for that, since we are doing operation on the object of class teacher, we'll have to go and inspect our class teacher. So what do we have in our class teacher? There's a name, there's a salary, there is something called stu pass per, and what else do we have here? Yeah. So we have method called get salary to get the salary. We have method called set salary to set the salary. So since we are going to update the salary of teacher, we will have to use the set salary method. So we'll say t dot set salary, and here we should write the updated salary. Okay, there's nothing called updated salary here. I've just written it as a placeholder. Okay, just to explain that here the updated salary will come. So what's the updated salary? The updated salary is old salary plus something. So how would you get the old salary? So to get the old salary, there's this method of get salary. So let's use that as well. T dot get salary, and these are methods, so don't forget to use the parentheses here. So this gave you the old salary plus the new component. What's the new component? The new component is stu pass per. So again, you can't directly write stu pass per. Here also you can't directly write salary, right? Because they are private. They're private instance variables. You can't directly write salary or name or stu pass per. You'll have to use the methods to access these values. So to set the salary, we use set salary. To access the value of the salary, the current salary, we use get salary. Now we have to use, we need this 2 pass per, and that will come from here, gets 2 pass per. Okay, so let's do this. Get 2 pass per. So again, it's a method, so you'll have to use parentheses. What this will do is this will give you what? This guy, 2 pass per. So what you have to do with this 2 pass per, you need to divide it by 100 multiplied with 5,000. I don't know why they have written it like this. They could have just written 2 pass per into 1000 into 50, and that would have given you the same result. But no issues. Just for the sake of doing, we'll write as they have given it to us. Okay, and it should be t dot stu gets 2 pass per, because this method is being used on object T. Now tell me, are there any questions?
Sir, why did you use T dot set salary? Or why can't we only use get salary here?
Get salary is to get the salary, but you need to update the salary. How would you update the salary? See, you can't do this. You would have done this. Salary is equal to T dot get salary plus T dot this, whatever we have written. Correct?
Yes, sir.
But this is what you can't do. You can't access this T dot salary, right? You can't update this T dot salary. Remember what we talked about setters or mutators, that you cannot update the value directly like this, T dot
Yes.
salary equal to something. You will have to dedicatedly use a mutator method if the salary's access has been set as private, or if the access of any instance variable is set as private. Okay, so we
Yes,
are
sir.
done with this as well. Now let's talk about this guy, appraisable. So this interface special appraisable, it extends appraisable. Okay, so let's do that first. Would you write that? Special, it's an interface again. Interface special appraisable extends appraisable. Okay, if you're extending any interface, that means you're defining another interface. Okay, because in case of normal classes, you implement an interface. But if you're using something like extends interface, then it means this guy is also going to be an interface. Okay. So what this special appraisable will do is it will set, it will define another default method called special appraisable teacher T that increments the salary of an employee by 2 pass per by 100 into 10,000. Okay. So we know we need to do something similar to this. So here it will be default SP appraisal teacher T dot set salary, T dot get salary plus T dot gets to pass per. Just check the spelling once. This is small s here. 2 pass per by 100 into 10,000. 000. Yeah. Okay, this is done. Is there anything left here? Okay, this part is done. This part is done. We have seen teachers check and update salary. This is also done, I guess. What this does is basically if 2 pass per is greater than or 60, if this 2 pass per is between 60 and 75, it invokes appraisable. If 2 pass per is between 75 and 100, it invokes special appraisable. Okay, makes sense. Now in interface test, we have to define something called print updated teach list. What it should do, it should iterate over the T list and invoke check and update salary on each teacher object. And then iterate over T list and display each teacher object. Okay. So let's see what we can do here. So public static void print updated teach list that takes an array of teacher object called T list. This is all we have taken from the definition. Public static void print updated teach list, array of teacher T list. Now its functionality is to iterate over the T list and invoke method on each teacher object. Okay, so we need to iterate over this T list. So we'll say for a teacher T in this T list, we are going to invoke this method T dot on this object. We are going to invoke check and update salary. Check and update salary. Easy. And what's the next part? The next part says that then iterate over T list and display each teacher object. So how are you going to display teacher object? So just look at the output. Name, comma, salary, comma, the 64.5. I assume that the 64.5 is their appraisal or something. Okay. So yeah, let's do that. Hmm. We can do it here only. See, if you want, you can run another for loop that for teacher T dot T list and so on, blah blah blah. Okay, but if you want, you can just do it here also. System dot out dot print ln. But to be honest, you need not to write something for displaying because they have already given you toString method. What's toString method? See, if I go here and I try to print my P, okay, if I directly try to print my P, you know what will happen. It will give me some hex code or something. Okay, but if I want a pretty nice format for my this P guy, I can just define this method toString. Okay, so in the hierarchy of Java on top sits this object class, and and in that object class there's method called toString, and in so that toString method is used whenever you want to format the display of any object. So public string toString. So what you can do here is you can just return the format that you want. So I'll say let's say name is plus name plus comma age is plus age. So after that, if I try to run the code, this time you will see I'll get a better formatted version of my code.
Sir,
So same
toString
is
to
being
ju
here. Yeah,
sir, is
Ju-
toString just a normal name of a function, or like we can
it's a predefined
write it?
function in your object class. Okay, so you are overriding the toString function that was initially
Okay, sir.
defined in the object class. So that's why you can't change the method signature.
Okay, sir,
Okay,
got it.
and so we can directly call this T from here. SP appraisal. Okay, you see the return type is not mentioned here for this SP appraisal guy. Return type is void. This is how you can identify your errors. And here it says T dot check update salary. Okay, sorry. Nothing is passed here. You see, so while talking, if you make any mistakes, you can just debug your code like that. Okay. So here nothing was passed and I mistakenly passed T. Okay, now all the test cases are passing.
Sir, can you please show that interface, uh, the interface test? Uh, uh,
This,
Sir, can you please show interface test that code I did not understand?
again, please, you're not properly audible. Means it's my
Sir,
issue.
sir,
The
please
internet is
show
bad.
that
Yeah, come again, please.
interface test code, sir. I did not get that. Can you just quickly explain that?
Okay, this part.
Yes, yes. This.
Yeah, so here they were asking us to define a method called public static void print update teach list that should accept an array of teacher called tlist. What we had to do is that we needed to iterate over this tlist and what this tlist will contain. Each element is going to be a teacher element, an element of class teacher, correct? So on that element, on that object, you need to call this check and update salary method. This was given in the question, right? The question asked you to what? Where are we? The question asked you to yeah, invoke method. Invoke means to call. To call method check and update salary on each teacher object and then display. Display means you can simply print that object. Okay, I hope it is fine now. Still, are there any doubts? Hello.
So, so do we counter problems of array list?
Yeah, you can get that as well. But believe me, they are very simple, okay? I'll be there in week 6 or something. I'm really not sure whether we can cover week 6 today or not, but still, worry not. Either you can check these questions or there could be another session. I don't know. I'm not the one organizing it. You can ask the organizers. But yeah, still. Even if you check these questions, no, they're easy. The solutions I'll share you that. The next one asks you to write a Java program that accepts a list of student objects and updates the regular feeds based on the number of backlogs of each student. So there's a interface called generatable, and it has following members. There's an abstract class called this interface generatable has an abstract method called abstract void fee generate. So again, no need to use the abstract keyword here. Just write void fee generate student test. Oh, it's already written. Fee backlogs, etc. Then a constructor to initialize name and backlogs. A mutator method to access the backlogs. All these methods are predefined here. And then there's a toString method to display the student object. And there's something called exam branch. So it has a private inner class regular. So regarding the private inner class regular, that if it's a private inner class, then it can only be initialized inside the class regular. I define this class regular, so I cannot really create any object of class regular here. I can only create the objects of class regular inside the exam branch class, means the class that contains the inner classes. That implements the interface generatable and overrides the method public void fee generate student s, where it sets their fee to 1500. Then there is another private inner class called supplementary or supple. And that again implements the generatable interface and overrides the method public void fee generate student s. Okay. And here if the backlogs are equal to 1, the fee is set to 2000. If equal to if the backlogs are 2, fee is set to 2500, and backlogs are greater than 1000, fee is set to 3000. You should define method called get regular fee that returns an object of class regular, and then there should be a method called get supple fee that should return an object of class supple. Okay, so I'll first write a very intuitive code and then we'll make changes into it. Okay, so what it asked us? It asked us to define a method called a regular fee that should return an object of class regular. Okay, so public regular is the return type and get regular fee, and what it will do, it will just return a new object of class regular. That's it. Very intuitive. Correct. Similarly, I can write public uh, supple get supple fee, and this should return an object of class supple. Okay. Now what? So it says that there's another class called class private class test, which has the following members. You should define method public static student, means this returns an array of student. The name of the method is get students fee, and it accepts an array of student called slist. Okay, let's do that. So here Public static, it returns an array of class student. Name of the method is get student students fee, and it takes an array of student. Okay, I just want to mention one thing. There are two ways of writing this. Whether you write like this also means the array of student means you put your bracket over here. Okay, or even if you put your bracket over here, it means the same thing. Okay, so don't get confused. Both of them just means array of student. Doesn't matter. Okay. Student. I hope the spelling is correct. Yeah. Means as no S. So what this will do, this method will do, it will iterate over the S list such that in each iteration, you need to invoke the method called fee generate on each student object from regular class. If the student backlogs are equal to 0, else invoke fee generate student as on each object from the supple class. Okay, let's try to break this down. Iterate over S list. First task is to iterate over S list. Let's do that. For a student S in S list. So we have created a for loop for iteration. What we need to do is invoke method fee generate student S on each student object from regular class if student backlog is equal to 0. Okay, basically it is asking us if the student backlog is 0, then we need to do something. So we are saying that if S dot, how would you know about the backlog of student? There has to be some method for that. Yeah, get backlogs is the method. So S dot get backlogs. Is there any capital B here? Yeah. Get backlogs is the method. If this is equal to 0, there are no backlogs, invoke method fee generate student S on each object from regular class. From regular class, we will have to invoke the method fee generate S. Basically, if this is the case, from regular class, we have to invoke the method called fee generate, wherein we'll pass the student S as the argument. I hope the spellings are correct. Any questions still here? Okay, because after that we'll be going into more depths. Hello, hello, hello.
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay, now carefully pay attention to what I'm going to say. Okay, P generate method. Let's see where this method is defined. It's defined here and it's defined here as well. If I have to call the fee generate method, it's not a static method. So I cannot call the method just by using the class name. Right, I will have to create an object of class regular and then only I can call this fee generate method. So just by writing regular, it won't work. Where were we? Yeah, just by writing regular, it won't work. I will have to create a new object of class regular for that. Right, since it's a non-static method. A non-static method can only be called on objects. So I would need an object of class regular. Okay, so maybe here I can try to create an object of class regular. Should I do that? Let me call it R. So regular R is equal to new regular. Now, any questions here?
Can we create object anywhere or in the below
Yeah,
only?
if you want, you can do here as well. That new regular. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you do that for every time, you will be creating a new object. So that's why I just created it once over here, and every time we are using the same R. Now, any questions here?
No.
No, no.
Oh, okay. Going back to what we studied about private classes. Private classes cannot be accessed outside their wrapper classes or the class wrapping them or the classes containing them. Okay. Uh, just give me a second. Yeah, sorry guys. So here, okay, this is going to be the last question. Sorry, there's something urgent where I need to go. So where were we? Yeah, this guy. So we were talking about this. So we have created this regular object. Now what can we do? So here, as we discussed about the private inner classes elements, that they can only be created inside their exam branch. So that means regular objects can only be created inside exam branch. I cannot create regular objects here. That will give me an error. So what can I do now? For
There is
that,
get
I
regular
can
fee.
use this
Get.
method over here. Okay, this is what we do. That's the reason why we created this method. This method will return us a new object of class regular. So I'll just call this get regular fee method. Okay, but this get regular fee method can only be called on the exam branch objects since it's also non-static. Okay, so for that I'll have to create an exam branch object. Exam branch E is equal to new exam branch. Okay, there's another way of doing it as well. You can make it static. So if it's static, you can just call it exam branch dot get regular fee, but still this is much cleaner way of doing it. So exam branch E is equal to new exam branch. So we've created a new exam branch over here. So new exam branch object. Once we have this, we can do this E dot get regular fee. This is going to return as a new object of class regular. But the problem is that again, this regular is not this regular class is not recognized by this private class test because it's an inner class, right? A private inner class. A private inner class cannot be accessed like that. We'll have to remove regular from here as well. So how can I remove regular? So for that, you see regular was implementing generatable. So I can use the reference of generatable to refer to any regular object. So here I can use generatable. Okay, and this generatable can be used to refer to the regular objects. So this is what we do for the private inner classes. So if you have any private inner class, you use uh, what? You use its pay. So you extend it using any abstract class or you extend it using any interface. And the idea is that that interface can later be used to refer to the objects of that inner class. Okay, so here also just to make it clear, we should return generatable objects. Okay, and now your code is good to go. Similarly, you can create a generatable S for e dot get supple fee. And here, if this is not the case, means if backlogs are not equal to 0, we can use supple. Else S dot, let's not call it S, let's call it sup because S is already being used. We generate sub. Okay, that would do the work for you. And yeah, once
Sir, it
it is
should
done, you
be
can
feed
just
generate
return
yes.
your.
No, sir.
Sorry.
Sub dot feed generate yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we're passing student here. And that's it. Let's run the code. Oh, hope there are no errors. Yeah, there are no errors, and we can submit it. Okay. And for the problems, you can check that. Okay, I'm really sorry. There's something urgent where I need to go. We'll see you in the next session if it is possible.
His next session will be called.
If the organizers are comfortable, I'm just free this week only. I'm free for this entire week, so there's no issue.
We'll try to schedule another session. No worries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, and
Yeah,
sorry I have to leave in between. Okay. Bye.
that will be beautiful. Thank
Uh,
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dipanshu. Thank you so much for the session. Uh,
Yeah, bye. Here's a sheet. You can check out the rest of the questions and their solutions. Okay. Bye.
okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the session, and thank you, Dipanshu, for taking this session. I'll just stop the screen recording now. Just give me a moment. Uh, and I'll be seeing you in the future sessions as well. Um, so we have our MLP session tomorrow. So we'll be seeing you in the MLP session tomorrow. If any of you have the MLP session, MLP, and we'll be scheduling another session for Java if the time permits.